everyone. Welcome to another episode of Shebuilds Tech Skills North America. We are live from reinvent, specifically at Caesar's Court in Las Vegas. So with me, I have Liz Dennett, who we had at previous as a guest.
Yeah, we go way back.
We go
way back.
Way back. But she's from Woodburn Mackenzie. Thank you so much for being on the show today.
It is a pleasure to be here. And for everyone watching, you get to see our little action of the reinvent world for the next little bit.
Love it. And Candice, our new member of the core Shebuilds community team. Welcome, Candice.
Yeah, thanks. Happy to be here.
That's fantastic. I love your hair, by the way.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It's been quite the topic of conversation. So it's been purple for about like 4 or 5 months now, but it hasn't been this bright purple. And yeah, it's showing up pretty well here. I went to go get the color touched up, and I was like, we've been lavender. Let's bring it a little darker.
I love it. It's all about the, the character, and you're amazing, Liz. But with that said, we have an action-packed agenda for you guys today. We are going to dive deep and go backstage to watch some of the cool, innovative projects that our solution architects are showcasing at the Expo Hall. And then we're going to have a fun Q&A with Liz.
Yep.
How about that? And with that said, so just to kick this off, I'm going to hand it over to Candice. Candice, why don't you tell our viewers, what's your background? What do you do? Give us a little bit of, about yourself.
Sure. So I'm Candice Bohannon, and I'm a solutions architect at AWS. I've been here for a little over a year now, working with enterprise customers based in the Minneapolis area. So I really like this job. It's kind of a new challenge every day. I can really leverage my curiosity to just learn a whole bunch of new different things as you try to help different customers use AWS in the most optimal way. So the job is super fun. I also just joined the Shebuilds North America core team a couple months ago. So this is my first time to be in front of the camera. It's kind of fun. I've done a few of the marketing flyers and things like that,
awesome.
But I'm excited to be here with you guys today on the camera, on this side of the camera. So I think, are we going to go ahead and show? So I got to be here at reinvent because I have a project being shown at Builders Fair. And Builders Fair is like, it's kind of showing the art of the possible. People at AWS are showing different prototypes that they build.
Right.
And so we're going to show you a little overview of the project that I've been working on.
It's so cool. It's so cool.
I'm pretty excited. So I think that's what we're going to do first,
Okay.
show that in another one of the projects, and then we'll kind of pop back for Q&A.
Why don't we do that? So why don't we watch the first clip, and here it comes.
Hey, so I'm Candice. I'm going to tell you a little bit about our project. So the project that we worked on here for Builders Fair is called Describe for Me. And it's a very kind of clean, small serverless application that you can use to upload images, and it will return a caption to you in audio format. So the reason that we created this is that the idea guy behind this project is named Jack Marchetti, and he's visually impaired. So this application can be used to help him really experience his environment more. So I'll start by going through the architecture, and then I'll show you a little demo. So here is kind of what it looks like when we go here. We have it available on mobile or web app, and what a person would do is upload a picture from their phone or computer or whatever. It goes into Amazon S3, where we then trigger off a set of step functions that are going to execute. So of course we secure this with Amazon Cognito, using Amplify to more easily and create our application. And so then whenever the step functions execute, this is really where the magic happens. So first, actually in parallel, we have Amazon Recognition, a SageMaker endpoint, as well as Textract, all execute in parallel. And we did it that way so that we could have it return a response a little bit more quickly. And what Amazon Recognition does for us in this case is it recognizes the faces of the people on the project. So we trained Recognition to recognize our 4 faces. And then the part that I worked on the most is this Amazon SageMaker endpoint. And that's what really describes the image. So what we did for that is I took a model from Hugging Face, which is kind of like GitHub for models. So lots of models pre-trained there. I didn't have to make it myself. I was just able to clone that repo down, and I containerized it in SageMaker, sent it over to ECR, and then deployed that behind the SageMaker endpoint. And that is the part that really does the image description part. So I think that's the coolest. And so once we have that caption returned from the image, then you can choose the language that you want to have this caption read back to you in. And it will be, we save an audio file, and then Amazon Polly will then read that audio file back so that the visually impaired person can see their environment. So now I'll show you a quick little demo. So here is our site, Describe for Me. Like I said, we do support multiple different languages. That's through the Polly service. And for this demo, because Wi-Fi can be an issue and things, we have a few set images. So this is my friend Jack's cat. And so if we were to send this up, it takes just a couple of seconds to come back, as long as our Wi-Fi is good. And so it tells us it's a tabby cat curled up on a fluffy white bed. So I think that's pretty amazing. This is one of my favorite ones, and this one will actually show the facial recognition part as well. So this is my friend Jack and me and our interns last summer when we went to headquarters. So with this image, now it's really doing a lot more of that step function work. And so the response that's returned here is people in front of the Amazon spheres. I think it's amazing that it actually recognizes the spheres. And it also recognizes two people, Canvo and Jack. So I'm Canvo at work. It's easier to say than Candace. And then one more that I think is really cool. Jack went to Alaska to see the Northern Lights not too long ago. And so this is a picture that his wife took while they were there. And he could tell, that it was green. He could see colors and shapes. But he didn't know there was this house silhouette. So with Describe for Me, he was able to, understand a little bit more about his environment. And so the caption here says, the Aurora Borealis or Northern Lights, it fills the night sky above a silhouette of a house. So just a few little demos. We could also play it back. It's pretty quiet, so we can't quite hear it in here, but that's how the audio file would be played back as well. So that's our project. Thanks for listening.
That was
so cool.
Extremely cool.
Candace,
so cool. That's amazing.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit more about sort of the thought process. What were some challenges that you had to work around? Building this solution.
So the hardest part was the part that I got to do, is that grabbing that model and being able to actually deploy that behind the endpoint. It's a very new model. It's called One for All. It's kind of been it's been popping up in the last year at different machine learning conferences, and it's a really powerful model, but it's also very new, and so it just there's not a lot of documentation and that sort of thing. So I wasn't able to get it to work directly from Hugging Face like some of the other ones do. Like if you've played with Stable Diffusion from Hugging Face, I love doing that. It didn't work quite as straightforward as that. So I plugged the repo, pulled down all those checkpoint files and things like that, and then just using, walking through all of that in SageMaker. Even containerizing it was a little bit more complicated. I tend to use SageMaker Studio because it's one IDE where you can do all the things. And for that, I struggled to get Docker installed. So I had to find something called SM Docker. It's kind of a wrapper.
Yeah.
So there were a lot of little things where I was like, oh yeah, this is easy. I'm almost done. And then I wasn't.
Famous last words.
Right.
Famous last words.
Right. So finally it worked. We had various different versions of that model. They have OFA tiny to OFA huge. And so we deployed a bunch of different ones and also looked at the response times to see what was fastest to come back and things like that. But it was really hard. Definitely worth all the effort. And we should have a blog coming out pretty soon that kind of walks through how to do
That's
all of
fantastic.
this. Really cool.
Yeah, looking forward to reading that one.
Yeah.
So what does the future hold? I mean, where can you take this?
Yeah, so I think something that would be really cool is to do more real time. So you saw it takes like 2 seconds to get that response to come back. So that's kind of hard. But what if we could actually deploy the model to the phone?
Yeah.
We need it to be on the phone and have all of the processing done there, and then we could save some of that back and forth time.
Right.
So I think that would be really great, because I think a goal would be to do video, right?
Yeah.
Think about a person, like a visually impaired person, maybe wearing some like Google Glass type of head-mounted display, whatever that happens to be, and being able to have something in their ear saying, "Oh, watch out! There's an ottoman in your way," or "There's a hole in the sidewalk. Walk around." So something that can kind of help them more real time than clicking through an app.
Yeah, we look forward, seeing kind of how this evolves, and we might visit you again
Yeah,
at Builders Fair next year.
Yes.
That'd be great.
Sure.
Fantastic. All right, so we're going to go and visit another team who did something phenomenal. and is also at Builders Fair.
Yeah.
And this team is a group of solution architects at Amazon who built, I think it's a sign language, American Sign Language robot.
It's so cool.
Right. And so let's tune in and watch it. And we come back after that and discuss it.
Hello. So we've built out a voice to American Sign Language translator, and it's super easy to use. All you have to do is speak into the microphone, and then the audio goes through some cloud processing and ultimately ends up controlling the robotic hand to finger spell out whatever you say into the microphone. So before I dive into a demo, just walk you through the architecture. So you speak into the microphone using the Amazon Lex interface, which is just a chatbot and has a lot of cool functionality. But for the purpose of our project, we're using it to intake the audio, and that gets saved to an S3 bucket, which automatically triggers a Lambda function to call the Amazon Transcribe API. And then this is a fully managed AI service that takes an audio and converts it into text. So then the text gets saved as a JSON file into S3 again. And we have a Python script running that pulls from the S3 bucket, extracts the JSON, finds just the snippet of text, and sends the text over to our Arduino code. And then the Arduino is what's powering the hand and controlling the different motors of the hand. So it iterates through each letter of the word that gets sent in from the Python script, and it then controls the hand to create the different finger spelling shapes to then spell out the word.
Do you want to give it a try? I can do the demo. Yeah. So basically we have our chatbot interface here. You can say whatever you want into the microphone. So why don't we go and say like AWS reinvent. AWS reinvent. It's going to pick up what I said, and as Alexa said, it's going to go through that whole process that we have. And here we have our Python script that's pinging it down, and so it takes a little bit of time, so we're on conference Wi-Fi, to sort of send the requests up and get it back down. But you'll see that in a second here, it's going to start to receive what I said letter by letter. So you can see it just got an A, so it's signing A, W, S, R, B, I, V, E, N.
Yeah, and then something to note is we're definitely limited to the just dexterity of the hand. So some letters like R, I can't do the crossing over, but this is just our first pass POC. And then we're hoping in the future we can get two hands, be able to expand from just finger spelling to being able to do actual words, and then maybe creating an avatar version so we can incorporate, because you need more than just your hands, you need the body, you need the facial expressions to properly sign out words. And yeah, but this is just the first stage of it.
Awesome. Thank you guys.
That was phenomenal. I mean, these projects, I mean, I've done Builders Fair in the past, and I tell you, there's so many things you can do. And I think these technologies is almost like building blocks. You plug them together and you can apply them in, things in your personal life. I know for a fact there was this person who built, I think it was a textbook for kids. It was children's books. And he had this camera essentially extract text from the book and then read it out in, language.
That's
in
awesome.
the children's own language back to the kids.
Yeah.
So the parents could just rest and enjoy their time while the robot was reading.
Robot Alexa, read the bedtime
exactly,
story.
bedtime
I bet there was
story.
different
That's
language
exactly.
integration too, and the robot could probably translate it on the fly too. You could plug that module in. Yeah.
And I think it's amazing like how they apply these technologies in things like, with those with visually impaired or those, with hearing challenges to really solve real life challenges.
Yeah.
So I love this. Any thoughts, Liz? What's your take on it?
Oh, I'm curious to hear both of your takes too, but I think anytime that you can use the tools of the cloud or any technology system, not just to make things in the abstract, but to really build tech that can help and enable, it's good. Like you're learning, it gives you warm, fuzzy feelings. It's a win-win.
Yeah.
And And I think too, helping to increase awareness too of the challenges that people
Right.
with disabilities face is
It's
really positive.
It's fantastic. All right. So with that said, do you want to share your perspectives before we move on, Candice?
What I think was really amazing about Builders Fair is there's so many different projects,
Yeah.
and there are so many
Right.
accessibility focused ones.
Yeah.
I saw something even that was like a smart refrigerator that helps you make
Oh, yeah.
better choices on what you're gonna eat. Like, that's nice.
Does it like lock up the candy for
It
you?
should, especially at my house.
Like you put the Reese's
So-
peanut butter cups in a drawer and
Real
like you
far
just
away.
can't get it. into
Yeah,
it.
exactly. Have you had your broccoli yet?
Yeah.
So there were just so many accessibility things.
Right.
There was another project where it was like how to dance. It was almost like a 3D camera.
Oh,
That,
cool.
Yeah, so that was really fun. But you just never really know what you're going to see over there.
Right,
So
right.
it's a lot of fun. So if you are at reinvent, you should definitely stop by the Builders Fair this
Yeah.
year, next year, whenever you're
Yeah.
there.
Without a doubt. And I know they're open to external. You don't need to be an Amazon employee to participate,
Oh,
as
cool.
far as I know. So stay tuned.
We'll double check that one.
We double check that one. So with that said, so we are coming to the Q&A session with Liz.
Drum roll. It's always a little stressful on a live feed.
All
Q&A
right.
time.
So
Can I ask questions back though?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
I'm totally gonna
100%.
ask questions back.
100%.
That's good.
100%. Without a doubt. So you're at reinvent.
I'm at reinvent.
Yep. This is, a whole week full of events. Lots of things to pick from. I mean, there's
So many
50,000
things.
participants. There's, thousands of sessions.
Yep.
You're here with colleagues, maybe, right? Or maybe not.
We have a
So-
few of them, but not many.
So walk us through, how do you navigate this maze of different programs, training,
Yeah.
sessions? How
So-
do you do that?
This is not my first reinvent. My first
Okay.
reinvent, I was so systematic. As soon as I got access, I signed up for every session. I had my wait list
Yeah.
spots, and then
Great.
I ended up going to like half of them because I would just get pulled into conversations. And there's something so magical about the spontaneity. The reality is the sessions are going to, the Chalk Talks will be recorded,
Mm.
but the big sessions, those are going to be recorded. You can hear the replays of
Right.
those. But wandering through the Builders Fair, being pulled into a conversation with a colleague you haven't seen in 3 years,
Right.
sitting down at the table to grab lunch with people that are working in a national lab on cool things. I was at a happy hour yesterday talking to a guy that runs innovation at NASCAR.
Wow.
These are things, these organic experiences you're just not going to get anywhere else. So I think tip 1 is to be open to the magic and to the experiences. Tip 2 is also to realize it is a sprint. It is not a marathon. Maybe this is orthogonal to others' views. You can hear I'm losing my voice, but I'm not going to go to bed early and not do things. I'm going to cram every single second in. I'm going to make sure my company gets the best ROI of their investment of sending me here.
I love it.
So it's been, knowing you will never see it all. There's
Yeah.
100 sessions at
Oh,
the
yeah.
same time. Some days it's
I
insane.
know. It's and some of it you can probably access after reinvent
Yeah.
as recorded sessions, so you can navigate. Yeah. Any questions for Liz from your side?
No, I don't know. What do you think about Chalk Talks? Do you try to go to some of those things that aren't going to
I
be?
do.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what's been your favorite Chalk Talk ever? You've been here several times.
Oh.
Tell me about one that was your favorite.
Oh, that's a really hard question. I don't remember the details of it, but there was one from last year around ethics and the ethical implications of what you were building,
Nice.
and that was very mind blowing.
Right.
yeah.
Do we build more? Do we build less? How do we make sure that our algorithms are doing the right thing?
yeah.
That I think I'm probably still a year later digesting some of those tidbits and some of those pieces of feedback. But
Yeah.
that was really good.
That is awesome.
If you've never been to any of the keynotes, it's really fun to go
Oh,
and
yeah.
sit, to
I
line up
agree.
early, sit up front, you're at a big launch event, and see the huge screens.
Oh,
And
yeah.
the keynote team here is spectacular. They are just
Mm.
magicians at what they do. So that's always a real treat.
I love it. I love it.
Um,
And then, what's your biggest takeaway? I mean, what have you from what you've learned, networking,
Yeah.
meeting people? What is your
Yeah.
biggest takeaway back to Wood Mackenzie?
so there's a few. I think
Mm.
last year, as a general rule, the innovation didn't feel like it was
Okay.
leaps and bounds better. It felt like it was much more continuous improvement. This year, there's a lot of big announcements, things that seem a lot more ambitious. There's been a big focus on the financial side and cost cutting in the cloud, which I think, especially in this economy, is big for everyone.
Yeah.
So really making sure that we can critically examine where our resources are, bringing in partners if we need to, so that we can control our spending. Because one of the cool things about AWS is you guys are incentivized to help us save money on our accounts.
Yeah, very true.
So that's always good to have that refresher.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Especially, I see the biggest trend, right? Cost optimization.
Cost optimization has been
and
huge.
automation.
Oh, so much.
Right.
And infrastructure automation, code deployment automation of
bringing
everything.
efficiencies and,
Yep.
and streamlining.
Yep.
Those are the biggest. Now, given the fact that there's obviously all these things that you're bringing back
Yeah.
home, how do you? I mean, I'm just looking at it from your perspective. Like, how do you even start maybe applying some of these learnings back to what you were doing?
Yeah.
Like, is that something? I mean, you need to first obviously review with your teams, but at the same time, maybe you have a process in place where you're evaluating with specific, using specific steps. Can you walk
Yeah.
us through that review process?
The challenge, first off, is that so many
Yeah.
of these new features aren't even in general availability yet. So they're betas.
Right.
And if you spend time with AWS services, sometimes betas go away and sometimes they become some of the best services ever, but it can be hit or miss.
Yeah.
So kind of separating what is going to be available and what timelines. The number one strategy, though, is working with our AWS account team. That is the big one. Like, hey, I just saw this cool new feature.
Sign me up.
Can we put in a PFR? Can we talk to the
Right.
service team? Can we get it on the early access list? Can we do a knowledge share about it? So the reality is we leverage our account team and our
Yeah.
solutions architects quite a bit.
That makes sense. That makes sense. Yeah, because it's not easy, right? And if you were to put your team up to go and sort of learn all this stuff and know how to apply it,
Yeah.
you're not going to be able to operate.
Exactly.
Right? I mean, that's your day job.
Yeah, and you
that
don't want
need to leave behind.
Yeah.
So-
this is a fun nights and weekend job, but at the same time, we need to make sure we're aligned in the same direction.
Exactly. Awesome. You had some questions for
do.
us.
I have
do
one
you?
for you.
Okay.
So we were talking about fun things we're going to do tonight. There's a certification party tonight.
Yes,
I heard a rumor that you are on a certification quest.
I am.
Do you want to tell the viewers more about that?
Yes. So I don't know if you've seen people get that kind of tacky gold jacket.
You mean the beautiful luminescent gold jacket?
That's the one. Yeah, they posted them on LinkedIn. You see a couple of people here at reinvent walking around with them. Well, I want one.
Golden jacket.
Yeah, and to get that, you have to get all of the certs.
And there
All
used
of
to
it.
be 12
There
back
are
in
12.
the day. Are there
12
still
or
12? I
13?
think there's
Does
13.
SAP, does that make 13?
I think it's like 13 or
Probably.
14 now. It's a
Okay,
lot.
so I'm not quite halfway. Like I'm gonna get my 6th one next week when I come back. But my
Which one
goal-
is next?
next up is database specialist.
Okay.
So
Okay.
I like data stuff. So I've got the ML, the data analytics. So next up is database and the 3 associates ones. So I've got those. But I don't know if there's not a lot of women in our field. Like generally, that's why we're here to kind of elevate that. I don't know if any other women have that gold jacket.
I think I once saw one on LinkedIn.
Okay.
So we need to pull the numbers
We need
and see
that.
if it's current too, because it
100%.
might not be current.
Yeah. So I want that. I'm gonna get that jacket before reinvent next year, and I'm gonna rock it. I'm
Oh my
gonna wear it
god.
the whole time.
Oh my god.
So, yeah.
I love it. All right, you just heard from Candice.
Oh.
Go and get yourself all the certificates. Get the golden jacket. Is that
Oh,
what-
that's
Yeah.
amazing. I'm so not envious because that sounds like
So much work. Yeah.
I have 5 certs, and I think one of my associates
Yeah.
expired, and I'm not gonna probably re-up that. I don't know if I'm gonna re-up my SA Pro. That seems really ambitious for what I do.
Without doubt.
Yeah.
Awesome. Great. So with that said, I mean, this reinvent is still last day, I believe, today,
But
right?
there are sessions on Friday. I learned.
Oh, there's
There
sessions
are
on
sessions
Friday
on
before we
Friday.
wrap up.
I feel
Great.
so bad for the people presenting on Friday.
Yeah.
Oh, I bet.
Yeah.
I bet.
Because tonight we've got a
Replay.
party. Yeah.
And replay is the kind of the end party,
Yeah.
right, where we all get together.
A big customer-focused mixer where it's all
Mixer.
business, all shop talk, and lots of dancing.
Yeah.
And there's other things too, but there's
Yeah.
a beautiful dance floor. They always
Yeah.
bring in amazing
Oh, yeah.
musicians.
Without a doubt. Without a
Are you
doubt.
gonna be there?
I am not. I have customer meetings.
Bring your
meetings.
I'm
customers
taking
to
my
reinvent.
customers. Yeah.
I'll think about that.
This is if you guys see me at replay, I'm gonna be doing this the whole time. I won't
Waiting
stand out
for
at
the
all.
drop.
I will. I'll just be waiting and waiting. We need to build something though that will predict based on the lead up when the drop's gonna happen.
Oh,
That would be amazing.
that's super fun. Okay,
So you can
next
time it.
year's
Yeah.
Builders Fair.
Like Because when you're waiting and you're waiting for the beach drop and it just keep waiting and you're like, I'm at 10, come on. And it just never happens. It's so frustrating.
One of the things
That's such a biggest problems.
I 100% agree. One of the things, aside from replay, one of the things at reinvent, which I think, a lot of people who participate in these venues appreciate, is to meet product teams. Service teams. It's just a maze of different options and, technologies that you could go and explore. But with the product teams, they give you roadmaps, they help you understand, if there's any gaps and how you can mitigate or address those gaps by giving you insights and visibility into the pipeline.
They ask you feedback on the roadmaps.
They ask you feedback for the roadmaps that you can apply back in. So we, 90% of what we do is really feedback from customers.
Yeah.
So I think being part of that and participating and providing and be vocal about your experience is hugely important.
So I took one of my customers to one of those. It was like the control services. And so we had people from Control Tower and organizations coming around and doing this sort of stuff, like talking with the customers. But another added bonus is that this was a multi-customer event. And so then it was like, oh, well, other customer who's using Control Tower, how would you talk to my customer and talk about how you're doing that? So again,
That's
the
so
serendipity and just networking and collaboration across customers is really cool to see too.
Yeah, 100%. I totally agree.
Yeah.
Any final word of advice before we wrap up?
Let's see. I don't know about advice other than buckle up. I think it's going to be a really exciting next year. I think the next 12 months will bring a lot of advances in the cloud space. And there's a lot of innovations in the pipeline that I've been hearing rumors about that I think are going to be announced.
That's fantastic.
So very much looking forward to that.
Yeah.
Yep. And stay tuned. We'll bring more and more customers leveraging these capabilities. And we learn from them how they're applying it in their own work stream. And then give you opportunity to also empower yourself with the skills and knowledge to be able to kick ass in your own work.
And follow your journey to the golden jacket.
Yes.
To the golden jacket. So with that said, stay tuned. I think our next episode is coming up in December. It's around just before Christmas time. We send you more details on that as we get closer to the event. And with that said, thank you so much for tuning in and watching this episode of Shebuilds Tech Skills. And thank you so much.
Pleasure to be
Both
here.
of you. And it's great to have you again.
Awesome.
All right. And have a great rest of your day. Bye-bye.
Bye.